What if I told you the first hour of your day decides your entire day? Most people wake up just in time to chase the clock, stressed, rushed, already behind. But the few who rise before the world wakes, they move differently. They think clearly. They win silently. Waking up early isn't just a habit, it's a weapon, a tool to reclaim your peace, your power, your purpose. Because if you don't control your morning, someone else will control your day. So the question is, will you keep sleeping through your potential, or will you rise and own it? In just a few moments, you'll learn waking up early can reshape your mindset, boost focus, and unlock true discipline. 1. Early rising defines your purpose clearly. When you wake up early, you are not simply rising before the sun, you are claiming dominion over the day. In these sacred hours of stillness, while the world remains hushed in slumber, you possess a power few understand and fewer still wield. This is not merely a habit, it is a philosophy of achievement, a declaration that you are in control of your destiny. In the early morning, you are gifted something priceless, clarity. With no distractions, no noise, no interruptions, you can hear the voice of your inner self. It is in this rare quietude that your purpose becomes loud and unmistakable, as if the universe too is whispering in your ear, encouraging you to listen inward, to discover what truly matters and to move toward it with unwavering purpose. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States. Mr. Franklin crafted a life of structure and intention. He asked himself every morning, what good shall I do this day? And at night, what good have I done today? These simple questions, pondered during his early hours, shaped not only his character but the nation he helped build. You too can ask yourself powerful questions as you rise. Questions that steer your thoughts and sharpen your goals. The morning is your philosopher's forge. You shape your thinking here. You discipline your emotions here. You craft your vision here. And just like the great Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who began his days in meditation and reflection, you are laying the moral and intellectual foundation for the empire of your life. Marcus Aurelius knew that without mastering the self, no man could hope to master the world. Waking early grants you uninterrupted time to plan, to write, to learn, to think. No demands tug at your sleeves. It is in these moments that genius visits. It is here that your dreams are refined into plans and your plans into committed action. Let me be candid. Those who sleep through these golden hours often stumble into their day, reactive, unfocused, driven by circumstance rather than design. But not you. Because you understand that your life is too valuable to be left to chance. You wake up early, not out of obligation, but out of intention. And that makes all the difference. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, whose journals burst with inventions, insights, and imagination. He too rose with the sun, his mind teeming with questions and curiosity. Or Isaac Newton, who discovered the laws of motion not in a crowded hall, but in silent contemplation. Their genius was not an accident. It was nourished in solitude, cultivated in the hours most ignore. When you rise early, you are building something greater than a routine. You are constructing a legacy. Every sunrise you witness, every quiet moment you seize, becomes a brick in the cathedral of your character. You are not merely preparing for the day, you are preparing for life. Use these hours to connect with your purpose. Write down your goals. Reflect on your values. Read something that elevates your mind. Sit in silence and ask yourself, am I becoming who I wish to be? Let your morning become a sacred ritual, a contract with yourself that today you will live with meaning. The world will try to pull you into urgency, into noise, into chaos. But when you have owned your morning, you carry a calm clarity that no storm can shatter. You lead with vision, you act with resolve, you live with intention. So tomorrow morning and every morning thereafter, when the alarm sounds, do not hesitate. Rise, step into the silence, and remember, in those early hours, you are not alone. You walk the same path as Franklin, Aurelius, Da Vinci, Newton. You too are a builder of destiny, and your foundation is laid before the world awakens. The dawn is yours. Claim it. Waking early develops discipline and success. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your achievements. It is the silent architect of every triumph and the unseen hand behind every success. And there is no better training ground for discipline than the early morning. When you rise early before the sun casts its first golden light, you make a decision that most will not make. You choose discomfort over ease. You choose clarity over chaos. You choose purpose over passivity. In that moment, you are not just waking from sleep, you are awakening your willpower. This act, simple yet profound, is the foundation of disciplined living. Each time you rise early, you are mastering yourself, and he who masters himself becomes unconquerable. Think of Alexander Hamilton, a man born into obscurity, yet destined to shape a nation. He carved his path not through privilege, but through relentless effort. Rising before the world, he poured himself into study, writing, and vision. His discipline transformed a penniless orphan into a founding father. Catherine the Great, who governed not just an empire, but her own habits with precision. Her rise to power was not born of luck. It was built through calculated thought, strict self-control, and unwavering purpose. She understood that leadership begins with inner order, and that inner order begins each day anew. When you greet the dawn with resolve, you send a message to your subconscious: I am in charge. You begin your day not by reacting to life, but by commanding it. This early choice sets a tone that echoes throughout your hours, guiding your actions with strength and consistency. Like a disciplined warrior sharpening his blade at first light, your early rising sharpens your focus. You prepare your mind for the challenges ahead. You remind yourself that success is not stumbled upon, it is created one decision at a time. Discipline is not a single act. It is a state of being. It is present in how you rise, how you eat, how you speak, how you think. And when you commit to the practice of early rising, that discipline seeps into every fiber of your life. The sculptor Antonio Canova began his days in the quiet hours, chiseling away in solitude, guided by the discipline of repetition and vision. His masterpieces were not born from bursts of inspiration, but from consistent, deliberate effort. Yours can be too. Or consider Mary Wollstonecraft, whose writings laid the foundation for women's rights. Her mornings were not idle. They were active, filled with thought, study, and purpose. She disciplined herself to rise above the expectations of her time, and in doing so, she reshaped the world. Every early morning is a rehearsal for greatness. Every time you resist the temptation of comfort and rise with intention, you fortify the muscle of discipline. This habit, once formed, becomes a foundation upon which your dreams can stand. Let others sleep through their opportunity. Let others wait for motivation. You do not need the permission of the world to begin your journey. You only need the discipline to rise. You may ask, what if I don't feel like it? Understand this: discipline does not negotiate with feeling. It does not wait for convenience. It acts, especially when it's hard. And it is in those hard moments, when you rise anyway, that your character is carved. Discipline is the gatekeeper of your potential. Without it, goals remain distant. With it, the impossible becomes inevitable. And early rising is where that discipline is trained daily, forged in silence and solitude. Use these hours not only to work, but to become. Read what nourishes you. Write what clarifies you. Reflect on what anchors you. Prepare your body, your mind, your spirit. Make the morning your proving ground. Remember, those who achieve greatness are not merely talented. They are disciplined. They rise when others rest. They act when others delay. They commit when others hesitate. So tomorrow, when the still world slumbers, let the quiet be your companion and the discipline your guide. Shape your destiny one dawn at a time. For in the early morning, you are not just awake, you are alive, determined, and unstoppable. Maximizing productivity through early rising. When you wake up early, you do more than gain extra hours. You multiply your power. In these first sacred moments of the day, while the rest of the world sleeps, you enter a realm of unmatched clarity and focus. This is the hour of the builder, the poet, the architect, the leader. This is the hour of you undistracted, undiluted, unstoppable. Each morning presents itself like a blank canvas. The colors are in your hands, the brush is your intention, and the image your destiny. There is no noise, no demands, no rush, just space. Space to create, space to think, space to execute. When you rise early, you rise into command. You are not reacting to the world. You are creating it. The first thoughts you think, the first tasks you tackle, the first actions you take, these shape your momentum for the entire day. Harness this momentum wisely, and you will begin to stack victories before the world even opens its eyes. Let us look back to the life of Blaise Pascal. a mathematician, physicist, inventor, and philosopher. His most profound thoughts were not formed in a flurry of activity, but in the stillness of morning reflection. He understood that his clearest ideas emerged when the mind was fresh, unclouded by the chaos of the day. Or consider Anne Bradstreet, the first published poet of the American colonies. She composed her verses by candlelight in the early dawn, long before the household stirred. Amidst her responsibilities, she carved out this time to give birth to immortal words. Her productivity was not a gift. It was a choice. The most successful individuals do not leave their productivity to chance. They design it, and the design begins at dawn. These are the hours when your mind is at its peak, alert, agile, receptive. Science confirms it, but experience proves it. You have felt it, that sense of accomplishment, of energy, of clarity that only comes from an early start. In the morning, your willpower is unspent, your mind is uncluttered, and your energy is high. This is your strategic advantage. Use it to tackle the most important tasks, the ones that truly move the needle. Do not waste these golden hours on trivialities. Use them to build. Oloda Equiano, who went from slavery to becoming a leading voice in the abolition movement, used the early hours to write, reflect, and organize his thoughts. His autobiography changed hearts, laws, and history. He did not wait for the world to give him time. He made it, and morning was his ally. Every early hour you spend with purpose is a deposit into the account of your dreams. Bit by bit, those deposits accumulate. Progress compounds. Days become weeks, and weeks become momentum. Your life begins to shift, not by leaps, but by consistent, focused, daily effort. You are not racing the world. You are outrunning your former self, and each early morning gives you a head start. This is the path of the producer, the creator, the achiever. Productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most when you are at your best. And you are never better than when you begin your day with intention, direction, and focus. Use these hours to plan, to build, to write, to think. Create systems that serve you. Refine your skill. Lay bricks of progress before distractions even knock. Do not squander the quiet. It is your sanctuary. Let others start their day in rush and noise. But you start your day with clarity, commitment, and craftsmanship. Because you know that when you own your morning, you own your life. So tomorrow, when the sky is still dark and silence covers the earth like a blanket, rise. Let your first breath be one of purpose. Let your first move be one of progress. Paint your canvas with bold strokes and watch day by day as your productivity rises with the sun. You are not merely getting things done, you are advancing your vision, and it all begins in the morning. 4. Early morning builds resilience and strength. Early mornings are not just about rising, they are about rising strong. Each time you choose to wake up before the world, you choose resilience over ease, strength over softness, growth over stagnation. The discipline to wake early is the training ground of the resilient spirit, the unbreakable will, the indomitable soul. You see, resilience is not born in comfort. It is not found in ease or silence. It is forged like iron in fire through consistent confrontation with challenge. And what greater daily challenge is there than the warm embrace of your bed, the seductive pull of sleep, the easy excuse to delay your purpose? Every morning you choose to rise early. You are making a powerful declaration. I am stronger than my excuses. I am bigger than my comfort. That choice becomes the first victory of your day, the foundation for all victories to follow. Think of Booker T. Washington, who walked miles in his youth before dawn just to attend school. He did not wait for the world to hand him comfort. He rose before the sun again and again because he knew his strength was being formed in struggle. That same spirit lies in you, waiting to be summoned at sunrise. Abigail Adams, wife of John Adams and a leader in her own right, she awoke early not merely to serve her family, but to write, to study, to think. In times of war and uncertainty, she became a pillar of wisdom and strength. Why? Because she trained herself daily to meet hardship with readiness, not retreat. The temptation to stay in bed is not just physical, it is symbolic. It represents every comfort that delays growth, every hesitation that halts progress, every fear that keeps you small. And when you conquer that temptation, even just once, you have already proven to yourself that you are capable of rising above. Resilience is built brick by brick in moments exactly like these. When you feel tired but rise anyway, when you feel doubt but act anyway, when you feel fear but move anyway. The early morning hours provide the perfect crucible for this transformation. It is in these hours that you are tested, not by the world, but by yourself. And that test is sacred, because when you train yourself to win that first battle of the day, you carry that strength into every other battle life throws your way. Resilience is not just about bouncing back, it's about pushing forward relentlessly, no matter the obstacle. And when you start your day by pushing forward into the cold, into the quiet, into the unknown, you are practicing the very essence of mental toughness. Sculptor Bertel Thorvaldsen, whose commitment to his art began in the early morning stillness. He didn't wait for inspiration. He showed up again and again, facing the stone with resolve. Like stone, life can be hard, but with resilience, you do not break, you carve. Use your mornings to sharpen this tool. Do something difficult. Sit in silence with our thoughts. Write out your fears and face them. Move your body when it protests. Read something that challenges your mind. These small, repeated efforts harden your resolve. Others may choose the pillow. Others may press snooze. But you are a different breed. You understand that greatness is not handed out, it is earned in the shadows, in the silence, in the unseen choices made before the sun rises. And when you consistently choose the harder path, the higher road, the earlier hour, you begin to change. You stop being controlled by life and start commanding it. You respond to setbacks with strategy. You face adversity with calm, because you have built within yourself an unshakable core. Tomorrow morning, when your eyes open and the bed whispers your name, remember that moment is your test. Pass it and you walk into your day with armor. Fail it and the world feels heavier, but you have the power to decide. Rise, greet the discomfort, embrace the discipline, and know that with each early morning you are becoming someone who cannot be broken, someone who endures, someone who leads. You are becoming resilient, not by accident, but by choice. And that choice begins at dawn. Early rising cultivates a positive mindset. Starting your day early is more than a habit. It is a ritual of renewal. Each morning, as the first light cracks the sky, you are given a gift. A fresh beginning, a clean slate, a chance to choose how your day will unfold. And when you rise early with intention, you set the tone for everything that follows. Every sunrise is a whisper from the universe saying, begin again. In the stillness of the morning, before the noise of the world invades your thoughts, you are given the power to shape your mindset. You have the rare opportunity to decide how you will feel, how you will respond, and how you will lead your life before the rest of the world gets a say. It is here in these golden hours that positivity is planted. This is where gratitude grows. This is where clarity dawns. This is where your mind is tuned to the frequency of possibility. Think of Florence Nightingale, who began her days in quiet contemplation and purpose. Her work in war-torn hospitals was filled with chaos and suffering, yet she brought light, order, and hope. She could not control the world, but she could control how she entered it each day, and that power came from her early morning reflections. Or consider Carl Linnaeus, the great botanist, who rose with the sun to explore, document, and marvel at the natural world. He welcomed each day with wonder and gratitude, and his positive spirit transformed scientific observation into a lifelong passion. The early morning is not just a time, it is a mindset. It is a decision to begin with peace, to lead with optimism, and to live with awareness. When you choose to rise early, you claim that mindset as your own. In these hours, you are free to journal your thoughts, to express gratitude for what is, and to visualize what can be. Free to meditate, to pray, to breathe deeply, and align yourself with your highest self. Free to speak affirmations that fuel your spirit. I am focused, I am capable, I am grateful, I am becoming the person I am meant to be. This is not indulgence, it is preparation. A mind that begins in gratitude is a mind that cannot be easily shaken. A spirit that is rooted in positivity is a spirit that can face challenge without fear. And a person who chooses light at dawn becomes a beacon for others throughout the day. You see, the way you start determines the way you continue. Begin with chaos and the day feels scattered. Begin with stillness and the day flows. The early riser does not stumble into life. They step into it with clarity, intention, and power. Let your morning routine become your anchor. Create space to reflect, to speak kind words to yourself, to reconnect with your values and your vision. You do not need hours, just consistency. 5 minutes of gratitude, 10 minutes of focused breathing, a few pages of powerful reading. These are not small acts. They are transformative. You are not merely waking your body, you are awakening your spirit. And when the spirit is awake, there is no room for bitterness, no space for complaint. You see opportunity in challenge, light in darkness, and lessons in every failure. Let others wake in haste, diving headfirst into the demands of the world. But you begin your day in harmony. You begin with purpose. And that difference will echo in every conversation, every decision, every moment you live. Tomorrow morning, as the world sleeps, rise, light a candle, open a journal, step outside and breathe in the dawn air. Say something beautiful to yourself. Think of 3 things you're grateful for. Set your mind on growth, not fear, on service, not selfishness. You do not need perfect conditions to live positively. You only need a willing heart and a consistent practice. Begin each day in this spirit, and you will notice the people around you respond differently. Your work flows more freely. Your burdens feel lighter. Why? Because you are different. You have chosen to start strong, to lead yourself before leading others, to cultivate light before facing the dark, and in doing so, you become the very embodiment of positive living. This is the hidden power of early rising, not just productivity, not just discipline, but the ability to choose your spirit each day. And when you choose positivity, you choose a life that lifts others as it lifts you. Rise early, rise grateful, rise empowered, and let your life be felt in everything you do. 6. Early mornings foster continuous learning. Continuous learning is not simply a virtue, it is the bedrock of advancement. No man climbs the ladder of success without feeding his mind, sharpening his intellect, and stretching the boundaries of what he knows. And there is no hour more suited to this sacred pursuit than the early morning. When the world lies quiet, when giants are still at rest, your mind becomes a sponge ready to absorb, to reflect, to expand. It is during this serene time that the mind is most open, most receptive, most alive. Each early morning is an invitation to grow. And if you accept that invitation with consistency, you will become unstoppable. When you dedicate your mornings to learning, you are not simply gathering information. You are building the mind of a leader. You are training your thoughts to be clear, your decisions to be sound, your perspective to be wide. This is not a fleeting effort. It is a daily commitment to your evolution. Let me speak plainly. The men and women who rise to greatness are those who treat their minds with reverence. They study not just for gain, but for growth. They journal not just to document, but to understand. They reflect not merely to remember, but to awaken wisdom. Galileo Galilei, who began each morning with study and solitude, he dared to question what others blindly accepted. His mornings were spent nurturing the intellect that would eventually move the stars. He did not wait for ideal circumstances. He created them by beginning his day in disciplined inquiry. Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, a woman whose thirst for knowledge defied the barriers of her time. In the silence of dawn, she read, wrote, and challenged the assumptions of her era. The early hours were her sanctuary for learning, and from that foundation, her genius flourished. When you rise early and dedicate that time to reading powerful books, writing your insights, or reflecting on past experiences, you are planting seeds of greatness. One idea read in silence can become the strategy that transforms your career. One insight captured in a journal can become the guiding light through a future storm. The mind, like the body, must be exercised. Left idle, it withers, but trained daily, it becomes sharp, agile, decisive. And the best time to train it is when the day is new, before the demands of life crowd your thoughts and dilute your focus. Let your morning be a classroom, your desk a place of transformation, and your journal a companion to your journey. Read not only to entertain your mind, but to elevate it. Write not only to organize your thoughts, but to discover them. Reflect not only on what has happened, but on what must become. Learning is not the domain of the young alone. It is the practice of the wise. As long as you breathe, You are capable of growth. And when you give your best attention to that growth in the morning, you begin each day with the momentum of mastery. Think of Johann Sebastian Bach, who began his days composing, experimenting, learning from every sound, every silence. He was not merely born with talent. He nurtured it with hours of deliberate practice at dawn. You too are not limited by what you were given. You are empowered by what you choose to build. Do not seek comfort in repetition. Seek expansion. Read what challenges you. Write what reveals you. Question what confines you. This is the essence of morning learning. It sharpens your edges, deepens your understanding, and aligns your mind with your mission. As the sun rises, let it find you in study. Let it illuminate the pages of your book, the lines of your journal, the corners of your mind where untapped potential waits to be discovered. Let each morning become a chapter in your personal education, a ritual of self-improvement that builds day upon day. The leaders of history did not merely react to life, they understood it. And that understanding was born from quiet hours spent in pursuit of knowledge. So too will yours be. Make this commitment. Each morning, before the noise of the world begins, I will rise to grow. I will read. I will write. I will think. And in doing so, I will rise, not just from my bed, but into a greater version of myself. That is the path of the learned. That is the path of the strong. And that is the path of the successful. 7. Early rising enhances self-belief. Self-belief is not born from wishful thinking. It is not a gift, granted at birth or bestowed by others. It is earned, built brick by brick through consistent action, repeated commitment, and disciplined living. And there is no action more powerful, no proof more convincing than your decision to rise early each day in pursuit of a higher version of yourself. Each morning, as you step out of bed while the world still sleeps, you are sending a message to the deepest part of your soul. I believe in myself enough to act. I believe in my goals enough to begin again. This daily decision becomes your evidence, undeniable and personal, that you are worthy of the life you envision. Self-belief does not come from standing still. It comes from movement. And every early morning that you rise with intention adds to the reservoir of confidence within you. You begin to trust yourself, not just in theory, but in practice, because your actions have proven your dedication. Think of Michael Faraday, the great experimental scientist who began each day in his laboratory with methodical focus. He did not rely on grand gestures or public praise. His belief in his own capability came from hours of invisible work, consistently showing up, building momentum, refining his mastery. Or look to Fanny Mendelssohn, composer and pianist, who practiced at dawn before anyone else stirred. Her brilliance was not handed to her. It was earned through daily commitment. Her self-belief grew not from compliments, but from the quiet strength of knowing she had shown up once again for her gift. When you rise early and devote those sacred hours to growth, you train more than your mind. You train your spirit. And with each passing day, the doubts begin to quiet. The questions begin to fade, because your actions become your answer. You no longer need to ask, can I become the person I wish to be? For each morning, you are becoming, one disciplined act at a time. Like the athlete who trains before the sun rises, you condition yourself for victory. You are laying the foundation of belief, not by force, but by repetition. Let this truth settle deeply. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build, and your early morning routine is the blueprint. Each act of rising early is a small promise kept, a promise that says, I will not settle for less. I will not betray my purpose. I will take responsibility for my life. And when you keep a promise to yourself over and over, what else can you do but begin to believe? Do not underestimate the power of this quiet ritual. The world may not see it. There are no trumpets sounding when you open your eyes before dawn. But you know, and that knowing is what transforms your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who waits and start becoming someone who leads. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes and start becoming someone who acts. And with each passing morning, your self-image transforms from dreamer to doer, from wanderer to warrior. Let your mornings be a sacred declaration. I am not afraid of effort. I am not afraid of solitude. I am not afraid to do what others avoid, because I believe that my future is shaped by what I do, not by what I merely wish. As the sun rises, so does your belief. You rise not just from your bed, but into a deeper awareness of your own strength. You begin to carry yourself differently. You begin to speak with certainty. You begin to live like someone who trusts their own path, Your confidence is not built in sudden breakthroughs, but in daily alignment with your values. It is not found in grand moments, but in consistent movement in the direction of your highest potential. Wake early, show up, do what matters, and watch how, day by day, your inner belief grows into an unshakable force. This is the path of the self-made, the path of the quietly strong, the path of the one who says, I do not wait for permission. I prove my worth through my action. Let this morning and every morning be your evidence that you are capable, worthy, and ready. And let that evidence build the fire of belief that will carry you toward everything you were born to achieve. Early rising encourages adaptability. Life is not a straight line, it is a river, winding and unpredictable, filled with sudden bends and unforeseen currents. Those who succeed are not those who resist change, but those who adapt to it, who adjust their sails with grace and determination. And there is no better training ground for adaptability than the early morning. Each morning when you rise before the world stirs, you step into a space of potential, a space not yet filled by obligation or chaos. In this space, you learn to shape your day instead of being shaped by it. You become the sculptor, not the sculpture. And through this daily practice, you prepare yourself to manage change, not with fear, but with calm, creative readiness. Adaptability is not merely a response. It is a mindset. It is the ability to remain steady when the winds shift. And like all great qualities, it must be trained. By waking early, you give yourself the rare chance to engage in this training, to build the mental and emotional flexibility required to thrive in a changing world. Mansa Musa, the great emperor of Mali, his journey through unfamiliar lands, engaging with foreign cultures and new economic systems, required not only vision but adaptability. He did not shrink from the unknown. He used it as a stage to demonstrate leadership. And that leadership was forged through quiet, strategic contemplation, moments likely found in the early solitude before his court stirred. Or think of Clara Barton, founder of the American Red Cross, who faced the unpredictable chaos of war zones and disaster sites. Her ability to organize relief efforts and comfort the suffering was not born of routine. It was born of resilience through adaptability, and that adaptability was sustained by her unwavering morning discipline, which grounded her even when the world around her trembled. Each morning you rise early, you are given a rehearsal for life itself. You do not know what the day will bring. Some days move smoothly, others challenge you at every turn. But when you meet the morning on your own terms, calm, focused, and ready, you send a message to life. I will not be thrown off course. I will bend, not break. I will adapt, and I will overcome. Start your morning by checking in with yourself. What needs to be adjusted? What plans must shift? What energy do you bring today, and how can you use it well? When you ask these questions each day, you build a habit of awareness. And awareness is the seed from which adaptability grows. Flexibility is not weakness. It is intelligent strength. Like the bamboo that bends in the wind but never breaks, you too can remain rooted while changing direction. Early mornings allow you to practice this strength in silence, revising your schedule, shifting your focus, adjusting your goals before the world demands it of you. In these hours, you have time to think, to pivot, to prepare. You are not rushing, you are responding. And there is great power in response over reaction. The early riser becomes not a servant to circumstance, but a master of it. Change is not your enemy. It is your greatest opportunity. Every time life shifts unexpectedly, it reveals your readiness or your need to become more ready. And every early morning is your chance to prepare. Let your morning routine be a flexible structure. Have your practices, your journaling, your reading, your movement, but be willing to modify them. Some days you may need silence, others speed. Some mornings you may reflect deeply, others take swift action. The key is not rigidity, but intentional flow. Let the morning train your mind to remain open to new paths, to new strategies, to new opportunities. Let it teach you that no plan is final and no obstacle is fixed. Let it remind you that your strength is not in stubbornness, but in your capacity to evolve. Each time you adapt, you grow. Each time you shift your plan without losing your purpose, you mature. And each morning you rise with this mindset, you reinforce your ability to thrive in a world that never stops changing. The future belongs to the adaptable. The early morning is where they are made. So tomorrow, as the sky begins to lighten, rise. Take a deep breath. Step into the unknown with confidence, adjust your stance, refine your aim, and know this: in your willingness to adapt lies your greatest strength, your clearest advantage, and your surest path to success. Early mornings strengthen your relationships. Success is rarely achieved in isolation. Behind every great accomplishment lies a network of meaningful connections, personal and professional relationships built not on convenience, but on intention. And one of the most powerful ways to nurture these relationships is to rise early when your mind is still, your heart is open, and your thoughts are aligned with your highest values. The early morning is a sacred space, a time when clarity reigns and distractions are absent. In these hours, you have the rare opportunity to reflect not just on your goals, but on your relationships. Who do you need to connect with today? Who deserves your gratitude? What difficult conversation have you been postponing? Morning offers you the composure to consider these questions with wisdom and grace. Frederick Douglass, who even amidst great struggle, carved out early hours for reading, writing, and reflection. His communication became his power. His words changed the hearts of men. But those words were not formed in chaos. They were formed in solitude, in thoughtful preparation, in the quiet discipline of morning. Or think of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who began each day by composing letters and poetry that touched the lives of many. Her expressions of love, empathy, and insight were sharpened in the stillness before the world called. Her relationships, both personal and public, were nourished by the morning practice of heartfelt communication. When you wake early, you give yourself the time to prepare your emotional energy. Rather than reacting throughout the day, you can choose to lead with thoughtfulness. You can plan how to uplift a colleague, express appreciation to a partner, or check in on a friend. These are not small gestures. They are foundation. The relationships you build become the net that supports your rise. And early mornings are when you can strengthen each thread deliberately, consistently, and meaningfully. Use this time to write a note of encouragement, to recall a recent moment of kindness and express, to reflect on a misunderstanding and rehearse a calmer, more thoughtful response. In doing so, you train yourself to lead with empathy, not ego. And from that place, all relationships begin to flourish. The early riser is not only more productive, they are more present. And presence is the rarest and most valuable gift in any relationship. When you give someone your full attention, undistracted, undivided, and rooted in clarity, you uplift them. You make them feel seen. And people never forget how you make them feel. Let your mornings become a workshop of connection. Ask yourself, who in my life needs my encouragement? Where can I bring harmony? What act of generosity can I offer today? When these questions begin your day, your relationships transform from accidental to intentional. Make space for reflection. Journal about your interactions. Recognize patterns. See where you are showing up fully and where you are withholding. Morning reflection is not self-criticism. It is self-alignment. It allows you to enter each relationship with greater honesty, humility, and presence. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who valued correspondence and reflective thought as pillars of his daily rhythm. His early hours were spent writing letters and documenting insights, not only to expand his intellect, but to deepen his connections. You too can use these sacred hours to become the architect of stronger, more fulfilling relationships. The greatest leaders are not those who dominate, but those who connect. And connection begins with intention. By managing your inner world before stepping into the outer one, you offer your best self to those around you. Early mornings give you this chance to respond instead of react, to listen instead of assume, to express instead of suppress. And from that practice comes a deeper bond, a wider circle of influence, and a life rich in relationships that support your rise. So tomorrow, when you rise before the sun, take a few moments to think of those who matter. Think of the bridges you need to build, the words you need to say, the love you need to show. Do it with intention. Do it with grace. Do it before the world rushes in. Because when you use the morning to shape your relationships, you are not just creating harmony, you are building the emotional wealth that will carry you further than any solitary effort ever could. Rise early, lead with love, and watch how your world transforms, one relationship at a time. Early rising drives consistent action. Greatness is not built in moments of inspiration. It is built in consistency. It is not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. but what you do every single day. And the most fertile ground for this daily commitment lies in the early morning, when your world is quiet, your mind is clear, and your purpose stands before you like an open road. When you rise early and begin your day with intention, you establish a rhythm, a personal cadence that guides your actions, anchors your habits, and accelerates your growth. These early hours are the workshop of the consistent. They are the proving ground of the commit. And each morning you choose to act, you place another stone on the path to your destiny. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not always exciting, but it is powerful. Like the craftsman who shapes wood or carves stone, you shape your future through repetition, through steady hands and focused effort. One day's work may not show visible results, but day after day, week after week, the masterpiece emerges. Think of Immanuel Kant, who maintained a strict daily schedule that included early morning walks and dedicated time for writing and reflection. His commitment to daily discipline allowed him to produce philosophical works that shaped the thinking of generations. His mind became sharp, not through bursts of genius alone, but through reliable structure and consistent output. Or look to Louisa May Alcott, who rose early to write even when burdened by illness and financial strain. Her consistency in those precious morning hours gave birth to stories that continue to inspire readers around the world. Her words were not forced, they were forged, one morning at a time. When you rise with the sun, you beat the resistance that plagues most people. You begin the day before hesitation can take root. You move while others linger. You create while others wait. And each time you do, you build trust in yourself, not only that you can act, but that you will act. Consistency is the bridge between your vision and your results. Without it, dreams remain abstract, but with it they solidify. Step by step, line by line, brick by brick, and the early morning gives you the chance to lay those bricks in silence, without distraction, with complete presence. Use the morning to recommit to your purpose. Identify the one action, however small, that moves you forward, and do it. Write the page, study the lesson, review the plan, reflect on your progress. When this becomes your daily rhythm, success is not a matter of if, but when. These actions may feel minor in the moment, but compounded over time, they become monumental. You do not need to revolutionize your life in a single day. You need only to make today count. Then rise and do it again. The farmer who tills the soil each morning does not doubt the harvest. He knows the results are in the rhythm. So it is with your goals. Water them daily. Tend to them consistently. And one day you will look up and see what you have built, not by luck, but by daily effort. Let your early morning be a sacred contract with yourself. No matter what happens in the day ahead, this is the time I give to my mission. This is when I move the needle. This is when I show the world and myself that I am not merely a dreamer, but a doer. Consistency becomes character. It becomes identity. And identity becomes destiny. The man who acts every morning with purpose becomes unstoppable. Not because his journey is easy, but because his discipline is unshakable. So rise not just to begin the day, but to build your life. Rise not just to get through it, but to move towards something greater. Let your actions repeated in the quiet of morning become the rhythm of success. Let others rely on occasional bursts of motivation. You will rely on your commitment. Let others wait for inspiration. You will begin with action, and in doing so, you will separate yourself not through force, but through consistency. One morning at a time, one step at a time, one victory at a time. This is how dreams become reality. This is how ordinary days create extraordinary lives. And it all begins with one choice. Rise early, act consistently, and never stop becoming. Today, choose early rising as your first step toward lasting success. Your greatness begins with each sunrise.